Everyone. This is a collaborative effort between Hiring Our Heroes at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the Institute for Veterans and Military Families at Syracuse University, and Hire Heroes USA, which is an Atlanta-based nonprofit organization. This effort is powered by Google, and we're really pleased that you can all join us today. My name is Kevin Schmiegel. I'm the Executive Director of Hiring Our Heroes at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and I'm a 20-year Marine Corps veteran. For veterans who are joining us on this Hangout, you have tuned into an industry panel with representatives from the manufacturing sector. And it's really quite a lineup of companies. America's best: General Electric, Alcoa, Lockheed Martin, and Boeing. But before I introduce the panel and tell you a little bit, I'd like to tell you a little bit about VetNet. And the reason these organizations, the organizations I mentioned at the beginning came together is because we've worked together in the past. And we really felt like there was a compelling need to leverage technology. And with a great company like Google, we realized that there was a way that we could get information out to the veteran and military spouse community, specifically about employment. So the way that I look at it, and I'm not a technology geek, but the way that I look at it is this is really like a television channel online. Call it a virtual career resource center. But it's really all about giving you information in one place so you can make informed decisions about employment. And we've broken it down into 3 tracks. So depending on where you are in your employment cycle, you can go to either of these 3 tracks. The first one is the basic training track. And it's very simple. We're going to try to provide advice on resume writing, to provide advice on interview techniques and networking and financial literacy and the things that you need to make a successful transition to the employment in the private sector. And then there's the career connections track, and that's where we're doing industry panels. You might get advice from veterans who have made their own transitions to the private sector in specific industries. We'll chat with CEOs from big companies, some of whom will be veterans themselves. And we're also posting a map on that track called Fast Track, which I'll cover briefly later in this panel. The last track is an entrepreneur track, which is run by the Institute for Veterans and Military Families at Syracuse. And it's designed to really give you college-level business courses on how to start a business, how to grow a business. And that's really for the veterans out there who are interested in the entrepreneurial track and getting involved with starting their own business. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the panels, and then we're going to start it up for those of you out there that are interested in a job in the manufacturing sector. We've got a few people with us today. I don't know if it's appearing on your screen the same way, but we'll just pop people's faces up as we go. At my screen on the bottom of the left is Dave Wallace. He is the Military Relations Manager for the Capital Region of Lockheed Martin. Dave is also a Navy vet. Next to him, to his left, is Glenn Cook, who is the Director of Global Staffing for the Boeing Company. Then right over to my left is Kris Urbauer, who is the Program Manager for Veterans Initiatives at GE and also an Army veteran. And finally, the last panelist is Lance Laverne, who's the Director of Talent Acquisition at Alcoa. Really what we want to do today, and I'll just give this to both the veterans who are on the line and the panelists themselves, is we want to talk about career opportunities in the manufacturing sector, and particularly for veterans. And I think the best way to do that is to put it in the context of what these 4 companies started just a few weeks ago. Working with the National Association of Manufacturing, General Electric, Alcoa, Lockheed Martin, and Boeing started an initiative called Get Skills to Work. And they did it for one very real reason. They have 600,000 open jobs, advanced manufacturing jobs, that they want to fill with skilled workers. They plan to start training 15,000 veterans right away, and over the next 3 years, they would like to hire 85,000, or train and hire 85,000. So I'm going to ask Kris Urbauer with General Electric to kind of give us an overview of the program, what the design is. And while she's doing that, we'll try to bring up some graphics from their site. Kris, you might want to start with the URL and then take it from there.
Okay, good afternoon. First of all, the URL for the Get Skills to Work website is just all one word, getskillstowork.org. And if you pull that up, there's a number of different resources on there for both employers and veterans that are interested in the program, and you can do some exploring of that. There's basically 4 different paths, I guess you'd say, that are a part of the program. The first is the ability for veterans to go onto the website and enter their MOS along with any other skills and training they received in the military and see whether or not they are eligible for a manufacturing badge, which they can then put on their profile, which they also can create on the site. That badge will tell employers that they have specific advanced manufacturing skills already, that they are obviously able to go directly to work at a manufacturing site due to whatever skill it is that they are badged for. The second piece of the puzzle is specific training. We will have 10 pilot sites starting in January. January will be Cincinnati, Ohio. That'll be the first one, and the rest of the pilots will fall in line throughout the year. And basically, a community college or technical school will partner with that local site, manufacturing site, to determine what curriculum of training is necessary for the veteran to obtain, so then they can compete for positions within that particular manufacturing site. So really tailoring what that location, that manufacturing location needs in terms of skills to the training that's then offered at a school that's nearby. So that's the second piece of the puzzle. The third piece will be an employer guide that is being done in cooperation with IVMF for employers to become more informed and better educated on the value that veterans bring to manufacturing facilities and some of the processes to get involved in Get Skills to Work. And then the fourth piece of the puzzle will be hands-on experience opportunities. We have a contract with Tech Shop, which is a technical organization that sets up what we're calling garages, where veterans will be able to get a membership. We've got a certain number of free memberships, and be able to really just experience some of the skills that are needed within advanced manufacturing to really see whether or not they're interested in that. So they get the opportunity to have some hands-on training and really see if it's something that vets might want to do for a career. So those are the 4 different tracks, and once again, the URL is getskillstowork, all one word, .org.
Thank you, Kris. I think from a very practical standpoint, the vets that are on the line probably want to know a little bit about how they can go about applying for the specific companies as well. And I'm gonna turn it over to Dave Wallace at Lockheed Martin. I know, Dave, you deal with veterans all the time who are making the transition. Can you just talk briefly about how vets who are interested in pursuing a career at Lockheed Martin, how they prepare for one, and then from a very practical standpoint, what's the best way for them to get a job at Lockheed Martin?
Okay, thank you, Kevin. With coming into Lockheed Martin, it is one of the easiest way to find out about what Lockheed Martin has is to go to our company's website. That would be at www.lockheedmartin.com/careers. And with that, you'll be able to build a profile, download your resume, and you'll be able to create a search engine within our company's database. That search engine, after you've done plugged in all your keywords, you're going to be able to actually see jobs that will pop up, job openings, requisitions. You'll hear a lot of different terminology, but you'll have that specific opportunity to open up, look at the requisition, and don't pay attention to the job title. That's one thing that a lot of people don't do. They look at the job title and they don't look at the required skill sets. And you want to look at those required skill sets and see if you can match at approximately 80% of that. You tailor your resume, then you apply right online. Kevin, what was the second part of the question?
I think how do they prepare in general? Is there something they should do? Is the Get Skills to Work the new answer for this? Is this get skills to work the front end of the process and then they get referred to your companies? How, is that, I guess what I'm asking is are there specific things they can do to prepare for a job in the manufacturing sector or in Lockheed Martin specifically?
Well, obviously, the earlier the better, because they're gonna know when they're gonna be getting out. Hopefully, they're gonna go through their TAP class. They're gonna be preparing for going on the outside. And if I'm understanding correctly with this program, this is gonna be part of that part is giving you what type of track to have. You need to do your research within the company. Know what you want to do basically when you grow up. Getting out, getting ready to go into the civilian workforce. Do you need certifications for the area that you want to be in? That's a hard part that is sometimes that's probably the hardest part of trying to explain to the potential employer coming into Lockheed Martin. But no, definitely they need to do the research. They need to be able to, and I can help. I mean, myself, the other military relations managers that I have on my team, that's what we're designed, we were created for with our team, to assist with that, to help with the transitioning process, because every person has their own scenario and it could be unlimited.
Hey Kevin, this is Glenn Cook with the Boeing Company, and similar to Lockheed, we also have a careers webpage. It's boeing.com/careers, and we actually have a military translator tool where you can enter your MOS and it will actually match jobs up that match your background and experience. It also allows you to kind of select where you want to work, not only what type of job you want to have, but also locations, whether it's Charleston, Seattle, St. Louis, San Antonio, or even some international assignments that we have open as well. So similar to Lockheed, we have a tailored site that will enable exiting military to easily translate their skills into the skills that Boeing's looking for to be able to bring them in, whether they're looking for manufacturing jobs or whether they're looking for engineering jobs or other type of salary positions as well. They're all in the same spot.
That's great. Thanks, Glenn. I think you brought up a good point. This MOS skills translator, it comes up again and again for veterans. I think there are 2 points that I like to make and then ask Lance from Alcoa to chime in. The first point I'd like to make is we shouldn't, as veterans, all hang our hats on MOS translation or feel limited by that. The fact is, veterans learn a lot of intangibles too, and they don't have to be stuck in the point where they just translate their MOSs. Sometimes their leadership and management experience translates to job opportunities that they didn't think they could have, and certainly the use of their GI Bill and initiatives like Get Skills to Work to get specific credentials, they're not limited by their current MOS. So with that said, if you could, Lance, talk about what military skills translate the best to your industry. You could start with the technical stuff, but also maybe talk about some of the intangibles that you've seen that have been beneficial to Alcoa.
Sure, and it's funny, we are in the process of getting a skills translator overlay for our website as well. It'll probably launch early in the first quarter of next year. And so, from that perspective, it's very helpful to be able to at least understand how military skills and the descriptions of those activities translate to what's happening in the corporate sector. But you make a valid point that you shouldn't be limited to that. It's a great way, though, to begin to understand that and expand that knowledge into a number of different areas. And one of the reasons we are really interested in bringing more veterans into our organization is because of the skills that population develops during their military service, whether it's the discipline, organizational, technical, and operations skills, which are sort of more tangible things that happen in a military experience, or some of the qualitative things that the individual develops while they're serving, the team orientation, the leadership skills that people have. Again, the discipline that you bring to your endeavors. I mean, those are all very important, particularly in the manufacturing sector. The discipline and attention to detail are critical in our businesses. there are roles that we have that are very complex and very dangerous. And so the ability to understand and manage that risk and that danger and to be comfortable with those things are really very important to effectively working in some of our more challenging manufacturing facilities.
That's really great. Great overview from all of you. I think what I'd like to do for any veterans that are out there, you can go ahead and start sending us your questions. You can do that through the Career Connections, the VetNet Career Corrections site on Google+. Send us the questions as they queue up. I'll just try to work them into the panel. You can ask questions directly to one company or just in general, and I'll direct them to some of the panelists. But before we do that, I think it would be really good, Kris, if you could kind of tie this back together regarding the Get Skills to Work. From someone like myself who's not as familiar as all of you, it would be good if you could talk about the badging system. If someone gets a badge and identifies particular skills, are they guaranteed jobs in your companies? Do they go into a competitive process? How are some of the regional colleges involved with the training? Do they use their GI Bill for that? But I think for the viewers of the Hangout, they're going to want to know how the badging system works. What does it mean in terms of careers? And maybe you could cover a little bit about how long some of the tracks take to get a good paying job.
Okay, Kevin, thanks. Well, I'd just like to toss out there also, I know I'm going to get Skills to Work here in a minute, but in addition to Get Skills to Work, GE also has a separate website for veterans, www.ge.com/veterans, for folks interested in looking at any and all types of jobs that might be open. We've got over 10,000 veterans working in the U.S. for GE right now in a variety of different positions in all of our businesses. So, I know we're talking about manufacturing today, but, it's obviously not limited to manufacturing within GE. If you're a vet looking for a job, take a look at the other website also. As far as the Get Skills to Work, it's going to vary how long the training will be, really depending on what the skills are. We've got a couple that we've talked about already as we're kind of slowly getting this rolling. 8 weeks for certain types of skills, up to 16 weeks for others. Some other types of jobs that folks might be interested, there'll be an apprenticeship tied to that. Training, then an apprenticeship, and then obviously, a competition for a full-time job. Technically, we can't promise folks employment, obviously, after they go through the program, but we can guarantee that they will definitely be competitive because they will have the appropriate skills. So, I don't have any lawyers here with me, but that's the sort of thing I think I would be asked to say. In terms of the badging, there's obviously a limited number of badges that are direct manufacturing skills, welder, CNC machine operator, machinist, that certain MOSs are going to translate into. Once again, right now we're kind of just on the verge of being started for a little over a month, so I believe there's about 400 folks that have created a profile in Get Skills to Work, and 100 or so of those, and I apologize, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but it was about 111 or so last time we checked, have earned a badge. Once again, once the profile is created on the website for the future employee, the veteran that wants to be employed in manufacturing, that badge is visible to the employers that are looking through the profiles, looking for possible folks that might want to come work for their companies. So it's one more way to kind of distinguish yourself and let the companies know that you're ready to enter a manufacturing job. So, once again, if you take a look at the website, kind of look around in there. There's also the ability to ask questions if you have some questions about something you see on the website. More than happy to try to help folks answer questions, walk them through things if needed.
Okay, great. That's great, Kris. I think I'm going to just go back to Dave real quickly. It's a general question, Dave. And it really, thinking back to your own experiences leaving the Navy, for kind of a vet to vet, if you could advise another vet that's probably watching, and given they're coming from all different levels, ranks, and experience, any advice that you wish you had been given when you were transitioning that you can share with them?
Well, I kind of had an unfair advantage because I was a career recruiter for the Navy, so I was already preparing because I was going into all these TAP classes all the time. But when I'm at these employer panels, speaking to the transitioning service members, I see a lot of people cutting themselves short. They're not sure what they want to do. They're not sure what field. You know, you got to do your research, and you need to know how to network. You're going to hear that all the time when you're at any separating class, when you're talking to different people. Network. You need to do your when you're researching. Having people look at your resume, which is a key thing. I see, you know, a wide variety of resumes, some good, some horrific, and you know, knowing who to go to give you that solid advice is key. Knowing how to work job fairs is pretty key. You know, a lot of people have mixed feelings about the job fairs, but this gives you the best opportunity to, one, go out there and start figuring out how you're going to be speaking when you get into your interviews. You're taught how to do that 30-second commercial at your transition class, so you're able to really sink into figuring out how you're going to talk, because not everybody has that public speaking experience when they're in their own military job. So they're going around to the job fairs. They'll learn how to start formulating how they're going to be speaking with people and getting an idea of what's out there. A lot of people don't know that there are so many companies out there that are looking for veteran employment, and I believe that's a key thing. So, you know, you got your resumes, you know, looking into different panels, different opportunities like what Hiring Our Heroes has with how to do interview techniques. Those are the type of things. Talk to veterans that transitioned out, not just for those. There's a lot of companies that have military transition teams, but you know, talk to veterans that have gotten out and ask them, just like the experiences I've had.
That's great. We've been very lucky at Hiring Our Heroes. I don't know if a lot of the viewers know, we run a national program to help veterans and spouses find jobs in local communities across the country. Over the course of the last 19 months, we've done close to 380 hiring fairs. All the companies that are with us have joined us for those. General Electric and Kris herself help us with workshops, transition workshops at the fairs, and they use their incredible network of 10,000 veterans in their company to offer resume advice one-on-one, interview techniques one-on-one, some coaching. So if you have a chance to go on our site, that's hiringourheroes.org. You can find a list of the upcoming hiring fairs and communities you might be in or you might be going to. We did get a question, and I think most of the folks out there that are viewing, you can continue to send us questions. I think that's the best way to interact with the panel and to get your questions answered. The first one comes from a Marine vet, so it's near and dear to my heart. You guys better have a good answer. His name is Jonathan Partlow. He is a Marine vet with 9 years experience in avionics, pretty significant. And he's curious as to whether or not Lockheed Martin, Alcoa, and Boeing require bachelor's degrees to apply. So I'm gonna start with Glenn on that one from Boeing. So Glenn, can you let us know what the deal is with that?
Sure. Thanks, Kevin. So typically, if it's an advanced engineering job, we would require a degree in engineering. But certainly for an avionics technical job, we wouldn't necessarily require a degree. The experience that you've received with the military would apply to the job, and it would, you know, as long. And I'm going to echo something that that David was talking about. Is if you want to apply for that type of job, just make sure that when you apply that you're tailoring your experience to the job that you're applying for. So, you know, if you've got 9 years of experience, that's a lot of experience in the avionics field. We have many avionics positions open at the Boeing company, and so I would encourage you to apply, and I'd encourage you to leverage your past experience, but you do not need a bachelor's degree for an avionics technical job.
And that same answer would apply at Alcoa, and you know, I think as everyone else has said, the more time you spend looking through the different opportunities that are available, I think most of us do a pretty good job of clearly identifying the requirements for the roles that we have open. And education is one of those requirements that we're very clear which jobs need certain types of degrees or don't. and we have a host of opportunities and roles where no college degree is required, but experience is really, really helpful.
Yeah, at Lockheed Martin, many of our programs require candidates who have a minimum of a bachelor's degree. However, there's specific certifications and experience that will be considered. There's technical degrees such as electrical, mechanical engineering, math, computer science, aeronautical engineering, systems engineering are preferred. But in the IT realm, that's where it can really vary, because you've got the CompTIA, the A+, Security Plus, Network Plus, CISSP. It really varies. There are opportunities out there, and some may have the bachelor's degree. That's all dependent on the customer that we have within the company. But there are quite a few jobs out there that do have degree or work experience equivalency.
That's great. Kris, do you have anything to add to that about the level of experience required or degrees?
Just to kind of echo what everybody else said, there's obviously positions that are going to require degrees, but there's also many positions where the equivalent experience from the military will be just fine and a degree isn't necessary. So we've got some of those types of positions in our aviation business where the avionics gentleman might like to apply also.
That's great. I think one of the things that we use the term networking. I think we kind of throw that term around loosely. Sometimes vets, they don't really understand what that is. They're coming out of the military. Obviously, we're used to having our own network, our own networks within our services when we're on active duty. But can someone talk about what networking is, and then maybe some practical advice on that, like LinkedIn and some of the other social medias, or maybe some unique programs that you may have in your companies? Anyone have programs for networking that you can explain and give advice to younger veterans? And maybe we'll just go back to Kris for that to start.
Okay, networking is something that some of us are really good at and some of us are awful at. I fit in the awful category in my opinion. But it's really just, meeting people, going to job fairs. We talk a little bit about this in the transition workshop classes, and if anyone has the opportunity to come to one of those, you'll meet obviously a whole group of veterans from GE there in particular, but just kind of making connections with people that are willing to talk to you about what they do, answer your questions about what you might be interested in doing. If there's professional organizations that are tied to the type of industry you're interested in, and you can get to an event along those lines, just to meet people who are in the career you're looking towards. Just any and all opportunities to meet folks and really just talk to them about what they do, if that sort of thing interests you. Can be uncomfortable, but it's something you just have to kind of practice at.
That's great. Go ahead and add. That's fine, please.
Look, Kris, the last thing that I think you said to me is one of the most important, in that it takes practice. There are very few people, in my opinion, who are actually born with that skill, and it is something that is developed, and it happens through repetition and getting out there and speaking to people. It really, I don't view networking as sending out lots of emails and correspondence. For me, and in my experience, and as I've seen it, the best and most effective networking is when you are actually engaging people, telling them your story, and also sharing with others your information, your opportunities, giving back to the sort of networking universe as well. It really doesn't work that well if you're only extracting from that, but if you're investing in it as well, that's when it starts to really pay good.
That's really great. Thanks for that answer. I'm going to go to Glenn with a question, because earlier this week we had a panel with the financial services industry, and one of the questions that came up was very specific about the future of their industry, and it became very apparent from talking to the companies that were on that panel that IT was becoming more and more prominent, that almost, I would say, a third to a half of all their positions required some type of IT background, or at least some basic skill set. So I don't know if the same exists for the manufacturing sector, Glenn, but can you talk a little bit about the future of the industry, and then if any of the other panelists want to chime in, that's great.
Absolutely. So obviously we have a variety of technical positions, and I would agree that we're going to see a lot more intelligence work, system engineering as an example. But on the manufacturing front, we're seeing a lot more advanced manufacturing techniques. The enhancement that we're making to composite engineering that we've done with the 787 requires a completely different manufacturing process, as an example. So, and we've got a training program where we train our mechanics from 7 to 13 weeks as they come in to learn some of those advanced tactics on how to work with composites, both on the military side and on the commercial side. On our commercial business, we're really looking at rate up on all of our commercial airplane programs. As a result of that, there's a real keen focus on lean manufacturing, and this is where I think folks from the military can use their leadership skills, their teamwork skills, and the disciplined approach to resolving problems. That would be extremely beneficial to the company, and those are skills that we highly value here. So as we look at the future, it's really going to be a lot more about how do we engage in the enabling technology to be able to enhance our manufacturing capability and speed of production. So those are some of the things that we're looking at. A lot more advanced machinery, heavy automation in certain areas, and folks that know how to work with really those advanced sets of machines and automation is where we're going to be looking for those kinds of skills.
That's great. We actually got a question from Major Bliss, who works for the U.S. Army Soldier for Life program. He asked specifically if the companies that are on the panel use h2h.jobs, which is a great platform. Like all great companies out there who are interested in hiring vets, all the companies have used that site in some way. We also tie H2H to our program, Hiring Our Heroes, and they come to a lot of our events, both to engage employers and to get veterans who are not, really as well prepared as they should be for the search for employment to register with H2H. I would like to do a couple of things before we close out the panel. I would like to encourage all the veterans to continue to use VetNet.HQ, but I'd like to kind of tie what we are doing, what all these companies are doing with Get Skills to Work, with a program that the Chamber has started called Fast Track. And I'm going to try to cue this up on the screen. Hopefully it'll work, because I'm trying to do this myself, and someone will tell me if it is. But the bottom line is, and it's not, so someone else is going to have to do it. The bottom line is the manufacturing sector's program is very focused on manufacturing jobs. Right now, the Chamber has launched an initiative called Fast Track. And the idea behind it is most people who leave the military, and even veterans who have gone back to their hometown communities, most people who leave look at where they're going, vice what they're going to do next. They're trying to get back to their hometowns or their spouses' hometowns, and that causes them not to look at where the jobs are and who's hiring, because they're making a decision of the heart by an informed decision. So we created this program called Fast Track, and as you go to you can actually search by city, and as you mouse over the city or click on the city, it'll show you the 5 industries that are driving growth in the city. What we're going to do in the third phase of this after the new year is connect or show the critical path to employment. What do you need to do with your GI Bill to get a job in those industries, in those cities? And those 100 cities that are on there are cities that are growing the fastest in America, that have the most job opportunity. We're going to tie in the Get Skills to Work Act by showing the cities that have these advanced manufacturing jobs where it applies. So more to look at there. It allows you to search either by industry or by the specific city you're interested in moving to. So lots of good things going on out there. We do have another question that came up from Mr. Diaz. He was an active duty Marine, had lots of Marines out there, which is good for 5 years. He has 3 years experience with the Dowdy R391 propeller, which I have never heard of because I was an artilleryman. So he wants to know how his skills are transferable to the aviation field. He noticed that Dowdy itself doesn't have any jobs open, and based on what he's seen on the GE Job Career Search website, he's also currently attending Embry-Riddle to earn a degree in aviation maintenance management. So I don't know if that's directed at GE, but Kris, can you enlighten us with that at all?
Oh boy. I'm not gonna. I have no idea what the Dowdy R390 was. I apologize. I'm not in aviation, so you'll have to excuse me.
Okay, that's simple. It's the great. As we get more questions, it brings up another point. For these questions, this is a very specific one, and for others, what we would like to do is return your answers within 48 hours. We'll make sure that we get answers to your questions. We're running with about four more minutes. I'd like to give everyone a chance to go around one more time to maybe bring up anything that you didn't get to say, that you want the veterans out there to know about your specific company and things that they can consider as they're making the transition. So I will start with Dave from Lockheed Martin.
Thanks, Kevin. One thing want to emphasize is Lockheed Martin has a military relations team that consists of 4 staff. All of us are veterans, dedicated to support, recruit, and promote transitioning military and veterans. We're able to assist prospective candidates and hold regular online chats about topics specific to transitioning military. Our military relations virtual chats are on the 1st and 3rd Mondays of every month at 1 to 3 Eastern Standard Time, and you can see that on our website. And we also have, you can go into LinkedIn, and we have Military Connect, which is specific for the transitioning military, that gives transitioning military an opportunity to speak with people to help go through the process for our website and transitioning into our company, hopefully.
That's great. Glenn, we'll just go right to you and then go from my left to the right. Go ahead.
Great, thanks. One thing I wanted to just comment a little bit is on the networking aspect. So at the Boeing company, we have over 25,000 veterans currently working for the company, and I would encourage you to use various social media outlets to tap into some of those affinity groups. They can really explain to you what it was like to transition. We also have a relationship with American Corporate Partners, where we've done some mentoring with veterans coming out of the military to help them get prepared. And we do, like Lockheed, we have a military program in specific that is aimed at attracting veterans. We do on-base sessions at many of the Air Force bases, especially given that many work on our products, like the Apache as an example. And we've got a newly launched Wounded Warriors program as well to be able to bring those folks into the company. So I would encourage veterans to come to our website and go to the various military events. We're typically at those events. And best of luck finding work out there.
Thanks. We're gonna go. Kris, any wrap-up comments from you for GE?
Sure. Just once again, repeating the websites, getskillstowork.org, www.ge.com/veterans. Good places to take a look around and see what GE might have available. We also have a LinkedIn GE Veterans group you can join, and we have a Facebook group you can follow. In addition, we're also involved with ACP, so a lot of the all of us panelists, I think, are involved in a lot of the same things. There's one other gentleman besides myself named Dave Ferguson. He's the military staffing and recruiting leader, and I'm the program manager of Veterans Initiative. So we're both heavily involved in recruiting and helping vets find opportunities within the company. But there's just lots of different resources out there where you can ask questions and do some exploring and do some networking with GE folks that have made the transition from the military. We'd love to help you as best we can.
That's great, and we'll wrap up before I wrap up the entire panel with Lance.
Well, certainly Alcoa is very interested in bringing more veterans into our organization. I have to say we don't have quite as many as some of the other firms represented, but I guess we're a little smaller than some of those companies, but we'd love to catch up. I would absolutely encourage you to go to our website. All of our opportunities are open. Certainly, we hope that you have some geographic flexibility because we are represented all across the United States with our operations. The person who is actually in charge of our Veterans Initiative here at Alcoa is a gentleman named Kelly Bronson, who would have been on this panel, but he is a reservist, and he is on his reserve duty this weekend. So he is leading this charge, and so can certainly share with you his experiences and really relate to what you all are going through in terms of trying to find opportunities.
That's great. I want to thank everyone, first and foremost, the veterans, for joining the panel. This new technology is exactly that. It's new. It took us a while to get all 5 of these people up and online. We've been working about it for 30 minutes, and it's going to improve as time goes on. We would appreciate if you have specific questions for the companies that are on the panel, if you have specific questions for me as the Executive Director of Hiring Our Heroes and what we're doing, or if you have just general questions or feedback about what you saw today, about VetNet in general, about anything that you have on your plate in terms of searching for a career. We've got a lot of resources that you may not be aware of, but first and foremost, I wanted to thank all of you for joining. And then I really want to thank all the panelists. I know it's an hour and a half of your time. We appreciate you joining. We appreciate you giving advice to the veterans that are out there. For those veterans who do want to provide feedback, you can go to vetnethq.com. There's a career connection on the Google Plus page as well. You can provide feedback. That's google.com / the + VetNet career, and you can provide feedback that way. Anyway, it's great to have everyone on. You can comment on YouTube as well because this video will be archived. And again, thank you everyone for joining us. Have a great day.